Hi, I'm Shaka Hislop, and you're here at Extra Time TV.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
All right. Hey, everyone. This is Andre Sooklal. The stream is finally on, and we're here with Kenwyne Jones, as promised. So, like I said, before we continue, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and, donate a mic to EXTV, apparently. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, these live streams.
It's needed. It's needed.
Yes. Apparently, the mics don't like Kenwyne, so I'm going to get rid of these. But like I said, like, subscribe, share, join in the live stream, send it to your friends. It really helps. I'm doing this because you all asked for it, and I've been really excited about the response for the last set of watch-alongs. Would love to have like Kenwyne and those guys join when we have the actual game, but Kenwyne is a busy guy. How that will work. So we want to confirm that while I'm putting it here now. So we're gonna head straight to the game. So Trinidad Tobago have to play Bermuda. Kenwyne. This is a crucial game. A must win. A lot of people have been asking me. We joked about this before we went on. Andre, what is the analysis? Of course, it's a must win. What are your thoughts on the game? Welcome, Curtin Charles.
It's interesting. I think pressure is on. You see, win match went to Jamaica. We lost that. The pretty they played that well, and we had but other than that, the team didn't look like were in place to win the game after coming up against Jamaica that weren't at the best miss. So it was important for us to to get points the road as well. I would say this, is very apprehensive about the team and performances. But when you look at the team, there were only 3 players in the team, that being Molino, Phillips, and Levi Garcia, to some that do guns. This latter their team are pretty to this, and for tournament football in this, it's not about how you play, but the results that you get. How we haven't been getting results, but there is a lack of World Cup qualification in the group.
I'm gonna have an idea before we continue. Probably hope this that might help. Oh, I told. What do you think? That's sounding better?
Definitely, I think that would.
Apparently, it has to be literally in our mouths, which is okay. So that's that. We appreciate the feedback, folks. So we would have never known this. We're gonna continue, Kenwyne. So you mentioned a key thing there about the experience heading in. You're someone who has experienced this, goes without saying. So this some analysis. We'll get into that first. But he had some players he called up, and I had some little notes because there's so much I wanted to talk about here, folks. So obviously Yorke had his Curtin, thanks a lot. Curtin, I think I know who you are, and I just know you by your nickname. That you, Breda? They said it here and you. I think this following the mic works, apparently.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But the mic, if you look at it, folks, it's like literally like this for it to work. That was unnecessary. I don't know why. But so obviously, there's some players in there. Some people, Molikan, they're on Payne. Isaiah, for people who follow local football, these names will be, known. So, what do you think about the inclusion of these 3?
Where Molikan, type of on the attacking pitch, he did that with coaching for. He's been playing very well in. Gonna bring different, the midfield setup. When you look at Isaiah, he's been in and out, injury. Did pretty well in where he would have scored. Then he was out of the squad placement. Colin Bongo. He didn't get much minutes at all in any. So I think that was an easy swap. Dwight to swap him out. And apart from that, Darren Payne, I don't really know much about. But hopefully within the squad, we're able to get sort of a spark from some to help us, you know, get over the line, get over the.
Before we, a lot of people today, a lot of people have been asking me on the live stream today about that first game against Curacao and how dropping those 2 points very, very damaging for us. If we had those 3 points, the loss against Jamaica would not have been very their point. So Getmore UK, who's a big fan of Extra Time TV, just came on. He said, I used to play with Kenwyne for Ultimate Team. It was so clutch. I started calling him Kenwyne Jones. So I'm gonna say I don't know if Kenwyne Jones.
Appreciate you.
And we saw the Interception Pod just came in. Great work by Interception Pod, folks. They have different content, and I see a lot of new YouTubers coming up.
Yeah.
Interception Pod, Scully as well. Great guys.
Yes.
I love their content. I'm glad that there's more people like myself doing this now, because it gives you a nice perspective of connecting the audience in a way that I probably wouldn't have done this 5-6 years. So Getmore is one of the most loyal fans.
Appreciate it. Getmore. Exception, big up.
Getmore was one of the first, Kenwyne folks, if you all know, he was one of the first guys when I first started doing EXTV. Jump on. Getmore, you and Kenwyne are veterans of this podcast that's growing a lot over the last couple of months.
It's the way of the world. We're not in anymore. Almost shows that what's up before. Yes, so we're happy to be place and EXTV.
Yeah. That was a long time ago. I remember that was going around with my mobile device. But welcome folks. And like I said, we will get to the Q&A segment a little further down, but we're going to talk about the Trinidad Tobago right now. In the past, we would have the structured layout and we would talk about formation tactics, which we will do. But having you all interact, great. So I'm seeing here, obviously Marvin Phillip is a regular fixture on the team. Kenwyne Jones, great guy. I got to know him after a while. These guys are not on the team. I'm sure Dwight Yorke has his reasons, but as someone like I'll mention, you have been in these campaigns before. Some people argued in the last live chats I had, having guys like Joven on, which I countered by saying sometimes the coach may see things that we don't see. Perhaps there's injury. We don't know. I'm commenting from. What are your thoughts as somebody? For
it's bad that he's not, but also as regarding the age, I think push if you're not going to listen stuff. Everyone for the World Cup qualification. I take my mind back to 2004 when we started in within the squad there were young players of then, and then had Kerry Batty point. Then as we whittle down, getting down to the end, Denzel Theobald, Wolf, Silvio as well. I was the youngest out of our squad. 80%, 5% of our squad were close to 30 or older. The experience was there. The exam, the work rates were very, very. You look at the squad now, missing out. When I think, but unfortunately, go with him this. But a person like Joven Jones, he should be ability. He should, but it's down to him based on the, training sessions. Coach would be able to determine that particular player is pushing for a start or able to help the younger ones in the group, show them the ropes and give them that confidence forward. And if he doesn't think that the team or the individual is able to do that, then he has to make
correct. I said the same thing, and it's good to get insight from Kenwyne Jones. So I'm just going to read all our saving comments to the end. And when your silver rated card was boss, that was your Stoke. It was your Stoke City.
Yeah, I think it was. It was.
Some people are mentioning it. So we are trying to work on it. So we missed the cool, really nice look.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was a terror to play in, but at the same time, you know, in my like I really apologize. I cannot see what the issue is. Hopefully but yeah, where the squad is concerned, the makeup of the squad is not bad. It's a squad when you look at it, it to make up our international for the next years, and you have too many players that are over the hill sort of. You have to have a young squad that we could continue to build with for the yes, now it is World Cup qualification, and we all would like to see qualify, but we also have.
While we're doing this, I'm trying to make sure and test the audio as well. I see we are Bias TT, another podcast, folks, that has popped up in the arena right now.
I'll be sure to tune in. I've not your Bias TT. So thanks for coming on the team. I'll definitely go out.
Folks, I like that you're keeping us on our toes. We are constantly working on this audio, and by constantly means fiddling with the mic until we get it right. Luke Sankalal, welcome. Luke, actually, I said welcome. I said that's what Luke. Yeah, long time. Nah, Luke is still very young, folks, but I unfortunately, a very short-lived career.
I would have loved to see
down the road FC. I did play for a little while, and Anthony Roger can verify this. I just played to be fair, Kenwyne. I'm not gonna be pretentious and ever say I was this great player.
No, well, if you're saying Anthony could testify to it, I'll take his word for it. That's fine. That you did play, I'll respect it.
And he actually started me, which was shocking. Like, listen, I like football just like anybody else can win. Mm-hmm. And Luke, Luke knows this. I just when I was in UT sport management. With the team. We actually have a UEFA licensed coach. This is fun. I mean, I would just content to be part of the training session and to see how a proper training session is and learn.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one of the games, like, well, Andre, you're ready, you're going on. But of course, I wonder, and I just basically my job. And when I even told you this, like my job was really a ball winner.
Mm-hmm. That Makalele role, okay.
Yeah. So okay. I had a pretty good right foot. Now there's a trick. I would say no, I didn't say that at the time. It looked like I had a really good foot control. It looked, but I was very fast for a while. So sometimes I would mess up my touches, but I would already plan in anticipation of messing up my foot touch direction I was gonna go. It would look
and then recover it.
Yeah. So people think, well, this guy is really fast, but I would be getting nightmares whenever a ball.
Okay.
And then I was a very confusing guy because I would control the most ridiculous long balls.
Yeah.
And fool people.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy. And then they would be scared. Yeah. And then sometimes the most ridiculous would bubble up. Because I was tall, I could kind of body people off.
I mean you got away with it. So
yes. I got a little sweat with UTT on a little thing,
Of course.
So everybody, I think, so far, I think the audio seems to have leveled off. We haven't got any complaints for a while. We're trying things like the CPL. And, so moving along. So we're talking about the experience of the players and so on. The last couple of games, Dwight Yorke has tried run approaches.
Yeah.
Different. Down one. Can't even really anticipate much how it's going to go. But a lot of people, I think, not the right thing. They're wrongfully writing off Bermuda in a lot of ways. Like a short 3 points. And anybody who watches any kind of football, you don't have to be an analyst. Ranks Trinidad, welcome. That no 3 points are given.
Yeah.
And I think Bermuda is going to be a hard-fought game. I think it's not going to be because people think we need to get the 3 points. I've seen that game against Bermuda and Curacao, and at one point it looked like Bermuda were going to snap.
Yeah.
And the scoring goals, which is something we're doing right now. And we have to be very careful about that. So if you had to guess, because we're all guessing right now, folks, and you can let us know in the live stream as well. What do you think would be the best approach?
Like any other game, or I even said it for the our game, that our biggest problem is hitting what our. I think now we're gonna be forced to do that by quickly and for that in the opposition half and basically attacking them. That is the only way we're going to going for the match. Get Bermuda on the back. It's something that we should have done, in the match against Curacao. I think we were very tentative at the beginning, trying to figure out what they had. That probably put us in a precarious position. From the half, we came out and really put that energy in. Started more or less living in Curacao half. We're going to Bermuda where our first two games didn't go that well or how we did. So now it's backs against the wall, and we have to be very positive in every action from the start of the game, straight on to the end. We have to impress ourselves physically. We have to impress ourselves aggressively with the team. We have to be positive in trying to get, shots on goal and getting goals pretty early so that it's important that we do that, because if we're a bit lackluster, unsure of what we're doing, the longer the game goes on and we give Bermuda them a draw would be like qualification for the World Cup. Have to go out to try to win the game.
Correct. And Dwight Yorke did mention this. He says he's always been saying, and it's not the first coach I would say that, so it's something maybe in our DNA, as he said. We are very reactive team.
Yes.
I remember even all the way back in 2006, not that long. Before everybody talks about Leo Ben Hacker, but still Porterfield and those guys. And I did see games where when sometimes we would concede early and then we would react. And seeing that problem is still kind of existing now. I remember Dwight Yorke mentioned it. He kept saying that he wants to make the team a proactive team, not a reactive team. And that's to say on paper.
Yeah, well, it is difficult because when you think of and you relatively have your squad 5 days for the first match window, it is important. It's important that understand that this is not a club team. Getting the guys together to be able to really put down that sort of imprint, how you want to play and how you want to start games, is going to take some time. I'm not about 10 months time. If you look at any club team, for their success, about 3 to them changing out players, adding new players. You're talking about continuing to play in a certain way, setting down your principles and all of that. Now you have a national team where the coach comes in. This is now 10 months, and you only have certain windows, and you have to take different guys because you need to give a lot of people chances. It's not a set squad relatively, and you're basically working with 5 days at a time, or 8 days as it is with 2 games in a window. Try and get your team to play the way that you play. That in itself takes time. When you look at our squads, you have people playing in different and different philosophies coming together, and then it is 5 days, and some people might not be on form. Some people would be playing. Some people playing at all. It's a difficult thing to do. So that is why I say, like, all you can do is wonder about the result and not actually you play too much, because in the end, everything that you want the points. It's not about the style of play, and maybe we tap in wing backs and midfielders that are box to box, or late runners into the box, or you have a number 10 who is extra silky. It is difficult to do if you look at before going on that streak of winning. No, they were suffering beforehand until things changed, and then they were able to continue to build. Of course, victory in matches help you to determine what style of play works, what style of play works for your team, regardless of the opponent you're going to play. Um, so we've been a little bit behind on that in going out and winning matches because we've had some some testy, I think, opponents, and also it is a stage of the coach trying to find out who is the best players, what this player can do, who would could I think of that would be in my squad, and it's a journey. Only been 10 months, but unfortunately, it is coming. We have a World Cup campaign, and we're more on qualification to the World Cup and how this team could grow.
I'm really glad you brought that up. And folks, Kenwyne brought up Argentina, not me, just in case you're wondering if I suggested it to him before the show. But that's a really good example because when Scaloni was hired, I'm a massive Argentina. This thing, the nice behind. Actually, there's a World Cup trophy, but you can't see it. But that's a good example because when Scaloni first started, and this is where I guess all intelligence, only people, a lot of coaches probably would have gotten fired at an important game in stages of his tenure against Venezuela. He lost, Messi returned. And this was the core of the young team that Messi, Scaloni, saying, hey, listen, I really believe in this particular team at the time, and they will do well. We saw how that turned out.
Yeah.
With this national team now, one of the things I feel a little bit of empathy and sympathy for Dwight Yorke is that I understand having fan first, then well, Kenwyne as well, other teams.
Yeah.
I understand both sides of the story where each time to implement philosophy very different.
Yeah.
You can't sit players and train every day. You can do so. Get there. You hope get it right in a lot of cases, and they have to execute on the field. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they just we're in a very unforgiving period where we have to get the World Cup. And somebody asked me this in the last live stream. If we don't get it, I don't want to put that into existence. So let's say, make it. Is it a fair assessment to say that he failed? Now, I would say, yes, we failed to qualify for the World Cup. Would it be a fair assessment to get rid of Dwight Yorke after?
Those decisions, I think, for us is, left to the lawmaker, relatively. But like I say, with any squad, it takes time to build and get into, the way of play. To be honest with you, I think it is an ungiven period where it's World Cup qualification. If you look at the previous coach, you would have had Angus, or he would have had probably 2 years with the team at us results. The team was doing well. So say that they should get rid of Dwight. I think that type of conversation way too early, and to do better. Trinidad Tobago, I understand very much that we qualified in 2000, the World Cup in 2000. A lot of people are saying that yeah, we need to, but just a little bit of Trinidad Tobago's history. We came close 1973. To qualify for the 7th World Cup, didn't make it. It took us another 25 years in a campaign for 1989. And again, almost missing out on qualification. Well, missed out on qualification by point. And then a further 25 years again, or 26 years, to be able to qualify for the 2000s. What a lot of people don't understand is that sport, especially modern day sport, it needs a lot of investment. Talking about investment over a period in order to build structures and to build, the foundation, come up. I think that in itself is like in most of the time, our support comes and run at the top. When we have to fix a lot of our structures and all from the bottom in order to produce, players at somewhat of a world class level. qualify, that is something that has not been happening in between those qualification times that we're coming close. It is now what 9 years since we yeah, that seems like a long time, but it's 19 years since we went to the World Cup, on our first qualification. So honestly, to be a bit more careful in our outburst and what we think should happen. Not forgetting our history. So it takes us a long time. We're a small island, 1.5 billion people. So it's not, something that we're accustomed to in the qualifying for the World Cup. That you would think qualify for under World Cup back into there, then an under 17 World Cup a year or 2 years before that. Then before that, we'd have a World Cup in 2001, the 17, which we hosted. Yeah. And then before that, we would have qualified for an under 20 World Cup maybe in the 90s, early 90s. So we don't have a history of qualification even at the youth level to these World Cups where we can, continue to keep together and progress and all the way up to this. We don't have a really strong history in that. So while we're looking at this qualification, the format, how easy it might be, or on paper to look at the group, say yes, we must qualify. I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because we lack a little bit of qualification heritage when it comes to our national and at sea.
I'm glad you brought that up, folks, because Captain.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did, Curtin. Yes, he did.
Yeah, no. Pulling all the stats for us. And folks, before I continue, I just want to let you all know this is the live stream is very informal, and that's a good thing. We have these conversations. I'm loving the feedback. I'm seeing the live streams here. Everybody's in there, and we've already been doing this for minus about 30 minutes. It doesn't feel like that for me. I hope the audio is okay. We're trying to, I had to do a little bit of a adjustment before the live stream. Hope it's improved. I'll try to keep it as big as possible. But just to continue what you were saying, Kenwyne. Continuity that you spoke about. It's easy to talk about results, and a lot of people do it and to them. To react and say, "Oh gosh, guy."
Well, that's the other thing. Everybody knows who should have played, who should have got picked, who should be given a chance.
Correct.
I'm just going to say from experience there are a lot of people that wanted certain players even from the local leagues to try and make it to the national team. They should be given a chance. There are a lot of these guys that they play at the pro league level here in Trinidad and Tobago, and they think that they're ready for international football. When they do come into the mix, they either get scared or not on the level to be able to function within that level of football. So all of these people that, and no disrespect to you all, I know from a fan's perspective, you like to see, your neighborhood player or players that you think are doing well in the local league. You want to be able to see them given a chance, but at the same time, international level of football is totally different. Really hack it at level. Maybe one wants to be given a chance, but this is not a raft. You know what I'm saying? So you have to try and decipher, who are the best players, individuals ready to make an attempt to be formidable at that.
Correct. Sometimes I will use it. Obviously I'm a fan. I never professional football. I can understand sometimes a bit of an overestimation of those abilities. Sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation some people don't like to have. Before I continue, I see people are popping in. I see Day the Kid, ranks Trinidad, John Charles, of course. Kingly Ledge. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm realizing
look at this one from Justin Stewart. Justin Stewart. I butchered your name there a second. I know our history is just one thing, but what are some things in your opinion we start qualifying for regular?
Great question. That's probably another
Justin,
podcast.
that is a podcast in itself. But one thing I know sure is that
Kenwyne took a deep breath. That's a long conversation.
the fields is one thing. The regularization, what's caught up of the way we play football. If you look at our local leagues, it's never sure to start, when to start, how to start, why they're starting. There are too many breaks. It's not long enough. Even at youth football, when you look at the competition, the Republic Bank competition, that is just a short period of time, months. If you look at the secondary schools football league, that in itself is it's like it's 3 months. You do not give coaches the time to prepare players well and teams well. Do not give the players proper time to recover. You do not give them proper time to understand having the motivation, stamina. When you rush everything and well, I'm going to play today and then tomorrow, and then by the time you spin twice, the league is finished. There is no motivation for stamina. We have to understand the period of time it takes to work, then to build yourself up to a match, and then to be able to have the time to analyze matches, then to build your players up again to go and attack another. There's so much. There's so many things to so many things to change. But those are just a couple of the things, and trust me, there's probably 1,000.
Justin, great question. And folks, you can bring the questions in. That's a good thing. There's no set format. We're just following a general guideline, but it's a conversation we're having. LeBron saying factos. Agreed.
Kingly Ledge, if we score more than 4 goals against Bermuda, we'll finish second because of the goal difference. Kingly Ledge, I would like to say that is hypothetical, because you have to win against Bermuda, and then you also have to beat Curacao. I tell you, from playing against Curacao in Curacao, the surface is not something that we're used to. And going over there and trying to beat them on that artificial surface is going to take something to time to get used to. Hopefully, it's one of those games that we're able to do the business and win. And yes, score more goals, because goal difference will matter at the end of the day. But let us concentrate on just, getting the points firstly against the match.
Correct. It's one of those things where sit down and work at all these scenarios. I'm known as a stats guy, and I don't want to look at it. I just know we have to get our results, and if we get a lot of goals, even better. But as you said, it's hypothetical. So folks, the questions are coming in. I saw Roblox Gamer Boy 3. The last time I played Roblox was with my 2 nieces in Scotland. So it's totally off topic. Trinidad have to score. Oh, same thing. Saying the same thing. Apparently, consensus that we need to score a lot of goals.
Yeah, but which is great. We're thinking about scoring a lot of goals, but it's not like we won the first 2 games 1-0 or 2-1.
Yep.
We didn't win any games so far. So the first that should be on our minds is to win the game, get 3 points. However it comes, because again, this is tournament football, and fair to find, we're gonna have to play Bermuda again and play Bermuda at home. So that means we'll have the opportunity to get the goals up, but we have to concentrate by any means necessary of getting those 3 points.
The questions coming in, and we'll get to them. This is great, folks. We're loving the feedback, and like I said, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to the live stream. This is the first that EXTV has done. I did a lot of watch-alongs. Will be fun for the Bermuda game. Sure to stay tuned for that. Kenwyne may or may not come, putting him off here.
Wow.
Live on the stream here, like what I did to John on the last one.
What time is the game on?
7.
Long way to come down here.
Yeah.
Stream. Guys, I have training on Friday.
Yeah, so, a busy guy.
It might be difficult, but we'll see what happens.
Wow, this is being done. I have to say a special thank you to all the viewers that has skyrocketed in the last 3 months. I did this because of you all, and it has been is the most engaging type of videos I've ever done in the apparently very long history. 2016, folks. I really appreciate that. So if you're just joining us, the format was originally Roblox. I love that name though. The original plan is what we do the preview, and we'll talk about that, and we have a section specifically for the Q&A. But feel free to comment at all times, subscribe, share, like, send to your friends. It really helps for the channel as well. So just letting you all know that. Send to everybody, and feel free to ask lots and lots of questions. We'll answer them as much as possible. Kenwyne, we'll some of the questions here. So it's a lot coming in. If this is from King Lee Ledge, are we pronouncing it correctly? If we beat Curacao, we'll also finish second, even though our rival Jamaica still in food. Up like a statement.
Yeah, more.
Roblox Gamer Boy 3.
Roblox, I'm not gonna answer that question. What do you guys think if you don't qualify for this thing TTFA? You have to direct that question on what they will do. One of the biggest problems I think for our country when it comes to looking at age group is the outlook of not having or the evidence of not having a short-term, medium-term. We tend to go about things tournament-based. You look at all the stuff in the media, women's, all our national, various levels. It's difficult to be able to, say that we have teams in training preparing for their competitions, 8 months beforehand, or a year beforehand, or 2 years beforehand, knowing the schedule of and competition. Of course, that comes by way of having support to be able to do that. So it's difficult to say what the FA will do. It's yet to be seen. But again, we're speaking a little bit in the medium-term future. Now all we can focus on is the game against Bermuda. How we're gonna come away with that victory.
Team Kulton Charles asking, is Alvin Jones injured?
I think so, but Alvin, when he was injured from the last qualification, there hasn't been any football for him to come back to, so he would be out of rhythm.
Yep.
Even if he is fit now, they wouldn't be able to bring him back into the team because again, there are people who are playing and is playing that they would pick. So he surely would be a big miss, but probably on his way back.
Yep, and Ryoka Deans has been doing pretty well. I really like him. He kind of reminds me of Carlos a little bit. Carlos, I sent Carlos a message. Carlos, for me, he would surprise us on the stream at some points.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree. Has a similar type of profile in a lot of ways. Very attacking, gets into the opposition box. He got a start recently, folks. In a crucial game. So he has been on the squad, but he finally made, I almost said Cardiff, for Crystal Palace. And he's been doing well. I think he's okay, and Alvin Jones, as Kenwyne said, be nice to happen, but that inside, I would not have been able to answer that question because of his injury and so on. So we'll see. So Roblox Gamer Boy. Oh no, I have to go back. There's a whole bunch. LeBron. Oh no, Get More UK. A loyal #1 on the ranking so far. Can you still do your flip celebration? That is a good question.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Goes away.
Wait, I attempt to do something like that. I don't know what. There was a time, and only Anthony Roger could verify this because it's hearsay. I'll just be like some streamer saying I could do it. That's particular.
Shaquille Roblox gamer again. Shaquille smack scoring goals like that, and he would say it again, not because a player is scoring so many goals near level or the pro league level, it means is fit into the profile player that the coach is looking at. Have to be careful of our wishes. When I say that, I'm not saying that the player or he can't score, but in terms of the coach's outlook on profiles of players that he would like to in his squad based on how he wants. He might not be fit to play. If you look back, some months ago, would I have Sam within the team, and Sam was scoring goals, and then when it got to the international level, the goals dried up. So you have to look at those type of things. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be called up. Don't get me wrong, but whether or not he should be there, that is down to the coaches. We cannot pick everybody. We have to understand that we cannot pick everybody, and then having someone there for the sake of having there is an absolute waste of time. So we have to, put our thought behind the coach, what they're about to go into. Hopefully, what they get there, produce the.
Andy Edwards, welcome to the stream. People are coming in thick and fast, Kenwyne.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Jamaica will win the group. Good place, but still to play. It's like a statement. But,
well, of course, you have to think about it. At the end of the day, we kind of control what those on top of will have to play them. So what we want to do is to make sure that we take care of our business, which is to win against Bermuda, and then to go and win against Curacao. After that, whoever drop points, that is not our business. Just have to focus on just winning our games.
Somebody said that because a lot of people will be doing. I'll do another one as well. The actual, technical stuff. But Kenwyne rightfully said at the beginning of this video, sit down and discuss tactics and all these things. But there's so much more to the game, folks, and that's why we have Kenwyne here in a situation where we can have these kind of conversations where we couldn't probably do that in the past. Let's see, Roblox. When we had them, Ranks Trinidad. Welcome, Ranks. Folks, don't forget to subscribe as well while you're in here. It really helps the channel.
What was this?
Rods.
I know we are talking about World Cup qualifiers. The women are preparing for their World Cup. Was a point related sort of thing deterrent for more corporate involvement. No, that is not the thing that is deterrent for the corporate involvement. Accountability and transparency has always been the problem with us. You're old enough. You would know that we had this sort of issues way from 2006 or even before that. So that is not the deterrent about hiring a coach for a team too late. That is just for preparation. The other stuff corporate about having that accountability and transparency.
Rods, I remember Rods on the last live stream, so welcome back, Rods. That's great that you all are joining in. Rods was one of the guys that requested this. Rods, you're doing yourself some good, doing your chances really well about that jersey giveaway. Capelli didn't give me one. I will buy one. I can buy one.
I still don't have one of those shirts.
I had to struggle. I got one at the stadium.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I went on and supported on
Roblox Game Boy 3. Nick Henry is leaving. Yeah, because are you suggesting that it should be a family affair? Roblox?
Is that what you're saying? Let us know what you're saying. The kid. First of all, let us know. It seems like people are hearing us okay, so that's good.
Yeah.
We think to figure out the solution, Mike. Do you think having non-local and local players playing together will be a positive outcome for the future of football in the night?
It definitely has to be. Always will be. It always be. Because level that we play football at in our local game, from the minute that we step outside our country and play these, we see a different type of football. We experience a different intensity in football, and even from the tactical perspective, something different. So we cannot and no, not a knock on the local game. Need that experience of playing in different leagues for the team to be able to be a formidable opponent on the international. Not just have local players, and again, no disrespect. Everything is disjointed. Have our own style of football, but when we get out there to that international It's a whole different game. So the mix of the players is important. What we do need is to try and build our players skill levels up so that we can have more players out on the stage in the different leagues, so that we can bring all of that experience together to be, push on it.
Because a lot of people brought that question up. Kenwyne said, I was certain age group. There was a time, and Kenwyne was a part of that group in a lot of ways. We had a lot of players playing in England, outside Trinidad Tobago.
When we qualified,
yes, all over, Scotland, second division in England as well. Dennis Lawrence, all these guys, Brent Sancho. Of course, everybody knows about Yorke, but we had a decent pool of players playing internationally. And even in the US, we had a couple guys as well. So that jump, local football, that international scene.
It is huge. It is huge. Hopefully, we can well in the future where we, able to get the league and, in the league, so that we can have the young players and, get and being able to. It is important at this time for us to be able to have that. In terms of just playing the Pro League here is not going to cut it for us on the internet. So we have.
We have another question here from Naldo Prescott. Welcome. I remember that name, Naldo. So,
Naldo Prescott.
So recognized by Kenwyne. Good night, guys. Any reason why Leland Archer or Anthony not making, especially with Darren Jackie, inexperienced as next center?
That is something you have to ask the coach of the team.
Again,
I keep saying that, based on the profile, based on coach's philosophy, and also a lot of these players that we are able to find at this present time, it's a mixture of things. Yes, again, you want to build a squad that can qualify for the World Cup, but we also need to widen the pool of players that we, so some of these players that are coming in to this squad, it is important that we get them in, we cap them so that they are actually a part of being able to represent Trinidad and Tobago, and hopefully again, it continues to build. Cannot say why he's not in. If he's looked at the coach, I am not in the camp. I don't know the list of players that the coach wants to select, so we're just going to go with what they have now. Again, I'll repeat, everyone cannot be in the squad. We all have wishes of players that we might know or see, but we all know that, any coach that comes in, he'll have a profile. Maybe it would have been good to get Leland Archer in or Anthony Herbert in earlier in the process when we went to that Unity Cup. Maybe even before that, so the coach could have seen the players. But for now, this is what we have. This is what is being selected. So we have to put our support behind. Hopefully they can get the job done.
Before we continue with the questions, we'll continue with a couple of things with the actual game. Don't worry, folks. Keep the questions coming. We'll answer every single one. We have key players. Here's one. Now we'll say understandable, Kenwyne.
No, bro. Sure. Sure.
That's why we have Kenwyne on, folks. Answer these questions. Support, yes. Now welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes. So, the actual match itself, and we'll jump back and forth between the questions. I was going to do both, but it seems like we merged both, which is fine. This is what we want, folks. We'll adjust. It's not set in stone. We'll adapt. Evolution. So, key players. I had my little notes. Kevin Molino, obviously. I've seen a lot of people with mixed reactions with Kenwyne, and we spoke about experience before. And we spoke about this very early in the live stream. What happened with experience. We spoke about it with. But, Kevin Molino's leadership and creativity. Spoke about this in one of our match reactions on the YouTube, where I think you highlighted, one of the things having Kevin Molino, which he has that confidence and take on players and passes, and we look definitely a lot more comfortable in terms of not just in terms of attacking and final. It's generally a bit more balanced.
Well, the good thing about when I look at it, and you look at the fact of they can't young he's taking the legs. For that point in the match where Kevin go anymore. 35 now. He's probably had like 5 or 6 surgeries or something on the knees. So for him, I think a very important, or well, a good backup, for us is important. That will be able to link the team between midfield and the line. So I could see Malik Khan being that person coming in, when Molino can't go anymore. And even when we play Curacao on the AstroTurf, it might be, you might see Malik Khan starting, because that AstroTurf is not good for the knees, the ankles for players, and especially a player like Molino, who has had those injuries. It might be good for him to get in. Like I said, he's energetic. He's playing in a league that pace, and he's been doing very well. So the thing is that it's important that you have all of these younger players, that you're getting them in, because we will need players for the next 10 to 12 years to be able to take the team forward. So all of these young players coming in, it's fantastic for us. Hopefully, it will get the job done. But we can only focus on the first game at hand. And like you said, if you noticed against in Jamaica, when Kevin Molino wasn't there, it was a bit, choppy, the way that we were going forward, how we were connecting in between the lines. You had Wayne Frederick the second, had an okay game, I think, but I don't think he was placed in a place to be but at the same time, he had an okay game. Players like Dante Sealy would have done what he's done, and then also, again, the biggest thing about this is that we need to understand that when we go and play games, while we might, rant and rave about certain players, yes, it's down to the coaches and the players now to be able to have, different tactics of being able to be in games. But when we play Jamaica, look at the side of Isa, they played him very tight, didn't give him the room to run. So he, being a left-footed player, he didn't have the ability to come in on his right foot and to change up what is his style of play or routine, and that made him very ineffective in the game. We struggled on that end. And the other players, you didn't have, who else we didn't have? We didn't have Daniel. We have that. Not sure. Yeah. Things were broken up, that players were missing and they couldn't play. So the normal chemistry and of the team was not there. It is important that we think about those things, and now getting in other players would help. See the questions coming in. You're throwing me off a little bit. But the next person, Roblox, you're asking a lot of questions, but it's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
What about Julia Garcia? He was on the national team a few times to get dropped. Julia Garcia was playing for AK Athens, AEK Athens, second team. He had a injury that kind of kept him out for a long time, and he recently started playing again. And now is having a decent run of form, I would say. I would implore him to continue, because it means that he wouldn't be far off the radar. The team, I think, the way he is playing right now, it is is good to see. Is something that would add a different dynamic to. So maybe not this campaign, but he will be soon back in the national team, set up and doing well for Trinidad and Tobago. There's quite a few.
A lot of them are loving it, folks.
Oh my God! Okay. There's Naldo Prescott, as you all mentioned earlier. The squad have a lot of younger players who would level, which would put us in a great position. Yeah, for sure, for sure. We have to widen the pool. Rods, if you were coach for the Bermuda game, what might be your 11 and why?
Kenwyne's fantasy 11.
I can't give you that 11, and I can't give you that 11 because as a coach, I have a way that I would like to play and a different philosophy. I'm not going to do that based on the selection of the players that are there, because I have a different perspective when it comes to that. So for the coach, can only critique what he put out there and what you think would be expected in a certain formation. You try to see things that the team wants to do, the principles of the team, what they're doing in possession, what they're doing out of possession, and through the both transitions, attacking, defensive. You can try to analyze of what they were supposed to, or what they might try to be doing, and what should be done. So that is all we can look at the moment.
I'm glad before we move on to the other questions that you brought that up, because it's interesting. Kenwyne being a former national player, former professional player, coach right now, versus maybe us, the streamers, because I've been a streamer, fan, and also worked with football, kind of in between. Where sometimes when you ask these questions, it's very easy as fans of the game where we can sit down and talk about lineups and so on. So, hey, I want this 11 and that 11 and so on. And well, no, it's no longer FIFA, EAFC now, where we can call lineups. So, it's interesting. Each coach has their own philosophy. But, it's not really. So we're going on again.
LeBron, you think I should start up front or you're right? That's difficult. I mean, I grew up with Levi when I played, so I'll have to sort of say I would rather him. I like the inclusion of Justin. I like him a lot. I think he can be a focal point for the squad, but again, it's based on the coach's philosophy and what he thinks might work for the. When you look at the squad, we have decent pieces, but the takes time. It takes time, for everything to come together. And this is tournament football, people. And yes, we would have liked to have experience, but the experience here is going to be lacking. Do not have a lot of players that have the experience in this latter stages of World Cup qualification. You only have a couple in the team. Now it's only going to be two, not going to be three. So we're dwindling on that experience. But I'll say that with the team at hand, maybe it might take a little bit of reshuffling this small camp before we go and play Bermuda. Maybe the coach might have a different view and try something differently. We'll see what happens. We just have to wait until Friday. What happens with the squad and who we're going to pick and how we're going to start the game.
We're seeing lots of questions coming in. So before we continue, first of all, Kenwyne, obviously we love to answer questions all night. But, we'll put Kenwyne on the spot here, folks. So how much time do we have again, Kenwyne?
Now we're talking, so I'll go with Kingly Ledge right here. What about Gregory Ranjit Singh? Was uncapped for years, even though he played for different clubs in the United States. A brilliant save. Question: we need Gregory. I'm gonna give you a bit of my experience of Gregory. I would have had the opportunity to sort of be camp with Gregory for years ago. I don't want to give away my age. At that point in time, he was really a great shot stopper. Point in time, and his handling wasn't that good. I don't know how he has come on, over the years. But he was really a great shot stopper. Wasn't that great with his feet. So now, I think he was called into a squad. A few camps back.
Yeah,
he was called in. Whatever the assessment would have been from the goalkeeping coach and the other coaches, not know. So I do not know how he is now as a player. So whether or not having him around the squad is a good thing or a bad thing, can't say. But hopefully for us, he could be an addition at some point, able to lend some of his experience. So,
Luton Charles. Fredericks wasn't bad.
I didn't say Fredericks was bad. I said he had an okay game. That's the first game he started under the circumstance. So please don't think that I said that he had a bad game. Kylian Spicer was shut down by Jamaica, and that is the other thing. Sealy and Spicer, young players, now getting into their strides. And yes, maybe they were shut down. That is why it is important for us to have in our squad different elements to be able to change the game up. I'm not too sure if would have had players with the energy, with the experience, or with the skill level in the last squad that when we changed the if we had changed them that Jamaica match, if they would have been able to, you know, wow, just now, let me jump to this. Kenwyne is a hater who was supposed to carry TNT forward and failed miserably.
Oh,
wow,
boy.
Bert Ash. How am I a hater? By giving my opinion on the question asked?
Good Ashton. Good Ashton, come on.
Wow, that's crazy. But anyways, big ups to you, Bert Ashton. Not a problem. But failed to score enough goal drought in key qualifiers. What specific tactical adjustment the coach? What is important in building a squad is being able to have different of skill level that would help or give you the availability of changing your approach. On some days now you're dealing with the human element. I know a lot of you don't like to think of players as human beings. They're robots that they're just gonna come out and nothing is going to bother them, or they're going to perform at their highest level every single time. There are only a few players in the world that happens to that perform regardless. But we're dealing with humans within the squad. Yes, it didn't come off. I want you all to understand that none of these players going out to play any match think that they're gonna do poorly, or they're not gonna try to win the game, or they're gonna try to make a mistake or not score a goal or anything like that. At some for some of them it could be because again we have a lot of young players and the pressure right now not only from themselves and within in the matches but also from the public is very high. They are very young in their professional careers as footballers, so that element of growing with that and understanding how to deal with that pressure and being able to deliver is another element that we fail to overlook. You know, but the players are growing. The players are going to continue to learn, having the experience that they have in at the level and the club level. So we just have to try and support them at best. Yes, we are talking about tactical changes and who to play and who is better than who and who should be in the squad.
Yep.
But at the same time, these are the guys that are playing. We have to continue to support and hopefully they'll be able to deliver.
Justin already. Donovan Kavanaugh. I listen. I don't want to butcher your name. I'm gonna try.
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. Okay.
Yeah, Kavanaugh.
We have a lot of fans from Jamaica, by the way. Lots of love. When I was doing the stream against the last game, I was pleasantly surprised during the CPL. So welcome, Donovan. Love that name, man. Let's go Trinidad. We want us and you qualify. Jamaica support. Qualify. Of course, I can understand. So, listen, we respect that from Jamaica. Brothers in the Caribbean. I would love if the ideal situation for me can support. Next question. Data Kid, what do you think the formation that best suits our national team in your opinion?
That is down to the philosophy and how he would like to play that formation. People get tied down with formation too much. Can change your formation every week. To be honest, about it. It's not about the formation play. It's about the principles of the team. What do you do in possession? How do you want the team that you do? I said before, the both defensive transition. Those are the things that you worry about more, not necessarily the formation. Just has to, would basically either upset or put off your opponent or be able to counter what they're doing. So it's not about the formation, more about the principle, philosophy, down how we want the players to situation.
While you're reading the one thing I'll notice, you brought this up earlier. We didn't mention, once again, unintentionally, Kenwyne brought up Argentina, not me. So I know I'll get some talks about that, Andre. But a comparison. One of the things I noticed about Scaloni, I'm comparing him to Dwight Yorke because initially it was rough in the beginning. There were some games, he almost, the Copa America 2019, they were on the verge of being eliminated in the group stage. That's how close it was to Argentina losing that guy. And that's how football is. But eventually he was allowed to put his methodology on the team and, tactics. And people would ask about tactics. And in a recent interview, he said an interesting thing, just building on what you're saying, Kenwyne, where, his way, I can't exactly what he said, tactics are one thing, but having players with the philosophy and understanding, all the 23 players, 26 players, and able to adjust on field. And he said that was one of the secrets where Argentina was able to play on the field where it wasn't anything to do with Scaloni. Scaloni would just give his guidelines, but they were able to adjust tactically throughout the tournament.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at the Argentine squad, you have players of a high level of experience of football, Champions League and that they're playing in. So yes, they're gonna be able to adjust on the field. I remember, God, it was crazy for me, and I'll share a little experience. Back in 20, we would have played Argentina before they went to the World Cup, and I will tell you something. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. The type of that they would have played with. They would have had their defenders. It would have been the Mascherano's day, and then they would have had Lavezzi and Angel Di Maria, and there was one particular situation in the match where we had a corner, right, and we went down there, put the corner in, they got it out, and I tell no lie, in 3 seconds they were having a shot on top of our box. It was absolutely crazy. So if you're telling me, for those of you that watch our local game, right, and see the way that we play football and the tempo we play football at, when you go and play teams like this, you actually see, some difference and intensity that they play at. So we're not accustomed to it. It's not that we can't, but we're just not accustomed to that. So having a team go through, having the experience of playing against different teams of different confederations and experiencing that, and even the football that we play on a daily basis has to be of that tempo so that we're able to go and enact that when we go out and play. It is not something that you just pick up overnight. It's repetition in football. So, it's a bit tough.
Yes.
It's not wake up one morning and yes, it will be that. It's a bit tough. It's something that takes time and you have to have patience with it. And hopefully that would happen. Bron, I don't agree with you. It takes a lot for us to
I'm definitely what LeBron said.
Yeah, if we had prime Kenwyne right now, we would qualify. Again, I did give you the history of all of our qualifications. You go back about Trinidad and Tobago and the different age groups. Some would say the 73 with Gally Cummins and they were the best team. They were playing the best football in Trinidad. You go to the 89. Oh my God, the Strike Squad. Yeah, and they were the best footballers in Trinidad. But none of them qualified. The team that qualified was in 2000. So you have to take away that nostalgia of who you are. Everything has to come together at the right moment in order to be able to produce the results of a qualification, especially coming from our region.
So many questions, which is great for keep them coming.
It's crazy.
Kenwyne.
Oh,
that was the one from earlier.
Is Levi number 9? No, this is not a knock on Levi. The Jamaican was saying he was on the field. Dustin John. Hi, Bert Ashton. Nice to have back a question from you. In my opinion, it is not his natural ability to be a number 9 with his back towards goal. He's had some success with it. I would say he's best coming off the right. I did explain before in coming up with I know. And if you look at a lot of his games, most of his success is when he drifts off the right into that forward position. Never really just being a standard or a traditional number 9. But again, Trinidad and Tobago, we've been, suffering from not, I would think, for some years, and he was the best option for us to put in that position. But now getting him out of that position in the timing that we have here, maybe it might be a tactic that the coach would try, but you don't want to take away from the ability of having a dentist. We've seen him being in some form, especially and the way he's playing, and also you have the Real Gills, you have the Tyree Spicer. So it's all down to the coach and what he does, and how he sees the game playing out.
Zeta Kid was just agreeing. Comment that's right, because had one player does not. LeBron saying facts can win. Hearing you really.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
LeBron can't keep us on our toes though. I love that. So yeah, so now we could this is what I love. Fun. Now we could actually continue the conversation about the game itself. So we were talking about key players on form, Dante Sealy and all these guys. So to summarize all that, it's a lot there. I had a bunch of if there's a key player from your eyes that you saw in the last couple of games that in these coming games. I know it's hard to choose one.
I would say that not well, a player that is in the squad, but he wasn't in the last few games. I think Molikan can be a spark, an impact. Not much for the teams. I actually known about him. He's gonna come in. He's going to provide something that we would have lacked. Like I said, Kevin Molino is 35. He's had 5 or 6 surgeries on it. And if you look at the games that we played, he would have been good up to maybe the 60th minute, 60. And then you have to substitute him because the legs are gone. Because you have to keep the tempo up in these matches. Because when you have a time there to be able to press teams, and you want to go for that goal or go for the extra, you need to have somebody that could come on in that position that will be able to give you the energy on both sides of the ball, with the ball and without the ball.
Right.
If you look at the game that we've played, we haven't been able to have Kevin Molino give 100% both on the ball and off the ball. You'll be able to get that with Malika. He's energetic, he's aggressive, and also he can find himself a goal, as that's been watching him would have been able to see. So I think he can be a key factor in games coming up. And hopefully, like I say, it's not about how we play, it's about the points. We have to win the games. We can't worry about goals and how many goals we need for, because it's not like we won our first pace with the top. We're on one point. Have to just win the game and then let everything else take care of itself.
Correct. Like I said that before we started all this. A couple of people, well, you're answering Kenwyne, and I don't forget about me. But I told people, I said, listen, it's just a must win. I'm not going to do much analysis. Yes, we'll talk about it, but it's a must win, folks. I even had a discussion with Scully as well. I was saying we need to. I mean,
big up Scully one time.
Yes, Scully. He popped in at Lily and showed his support. So hopefully he's on the stream right now. That work right now. But let's continue.
Son, welcome. A man say another Stern John will never. John has caused a riot in that goes. Listen,
I think that's the goal he scored, maybe.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think a lot of people again, we get caught up, or most people get caught up as of who they like and who should be. You have to give John his props. I think he's like in the top 11 goals that scored for the national. You have to respect that. I know a lot of people have differences, and it's a matter of preference and why you think somebody should should like them or not like them, or maybe some people had grudges because their friends or family member didn't make the team, or they find should have played. At the end of the day, we've gone through eras and we've had goal scorers. Stephen is our top goal scorer. Kudos to him, and we have to respect having another one like that. I think would be difficult to have, because if you look at these generation of footballers, and I face it, even in coaching now with the young ones, you do not have, players that are invested in football like that. Even in my time in playing in the SSL, and you would have had players that would, strikers that would score 20, 24 goals a season, 30 something goals a season. You would have midfielders that scoring 17, 18, 19, 20 goals in the colleges league. And those were the ones that were being pushed through, come through the national setups, and making the team. You do not have that now. You have people popping up with a 1 goal here, a 2 goal there, and a 3 goal everywhere. But it is not like it was long time. So we have to now do better in players up and them those skills to try and get them to that level. But it's going to go down to the players and how they with Ashton back again, and how they produce grow in this sport with Ashton. And does lack of Premier League, lack of plays means Aaron, Levi, no one else is top flight football. Why is it so hard for us to produce Premiership players? But there are a lot of factors. One factor is that it's going to be difficult for us to produce a Premiership player because we are not in rankings able to get players into. Again, it takes so many things. So just to give you a little context, right? A little context. Erling Haaland, playing in Premiership and scoring goals and all of that, scoring so many goals. To produce a player at that top level will probably cost you like maybe £20 million. So let's put that in perspective a little bit. It's not that easy to play on that level, and I'll repeat, it is not that easy to play on that level and to get through to play in the Premier League. So yes, we would have had some luck. We'd have had God's luck before, and we had a few players that was able to find a way to make it there. But it's not that easy, and it's getting more difficult by the year through administrative side of things, and even through the our rankings where players are. So as much as we would like to see a lot of players out there, it is a bit more difficult these days to get through to play in those Europe.
Before we jump to the next question, you're really important that the viewers it's good for the viewers, especially the younger ones. It's not as simple, and Kenwyne could clarify this, and more than I ever could. Getting into the Premier, it's not as simple as in FIFA where you just, okay, I like Kenwyne and I'm going to put him, although back in 2016 I tried to sign Kenwyne and he denied me in game, so I hold a digital grudge in 2016. He actually joked about that in our first interview, but just to enlighten the fans a little bit, you need like a certain amount of caps. Yes, ranking Trinidad Tobago needs to be all these little factors.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of my history.
Okay.
For me to play in the, or me getting to, I was probably the last player to get through on a working holiday. It was administrative thing that was on, and even in that period of having that working holiday, or I could have gotten my permit, I would have had to play 65% of my senior national. So in 2004, I would have signed over there, and then from the period of 2004 to 2006, I would have had to play like 65% in order to qualify for a work permit. So it is not that easy. And at that time, we were of higher rankings, and the laws weren't as harsh as it now. But in order, because of the whole Brexit scenario, your team has to be in the top 50 in the world. Your team has to be in the top 50 in order to qualify for a work permit to play in England at any level, Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, whatever it is. Other than that, you have to have some way where you have a passport by somebody, a relative or whatever that would be able to get you through that way, or you will have to go and spend 5 years in another European country playing in order to qualify to be a resident or even a passport holder of that country. And still it is even difficult to get across because of that same Brexit laws. Now in England or in the UK, because of Brexit, it is hard for Europeans to even qualify to play in England. It's a hell of a lot. And then within teams of in those competitions, Premier League, in the Championship, in League One and such, you only allowed to have a certain amount of foreign players. It used to be easier because they would have had, European players and it was part of the European Union. Now you have to have a certain number of foreigners. European players are counted as foreigners, as the British. So it is not that easy, ladies and to be able to play in a league just like that.
That's why I wanted you to answer that. That was a very important question. I think, not just from me, because people go, and we're talking about. And when experience this is how difficult it is. It's not just even footballing ability. There's so much factors. Okay, so people like to say, just as simple as why players are not. Back to the questions. Son.
I think that's more a statement. One Stern, one Yorke, one Latin. Till this day, Scots have still talk about Latin Union. Listen, and again, that is a credit to Yorke and Stern, for the fans to still be talking about you. At the end of the day, those guys are those guys. We're all made individuals. There is no two players alike in any generation. So we can try to use past players credits to compare them to the players of now and why they shouldn't be and how they shouldn't be and should be like this one. You have to support each individual. I know for those of you on here who have kids, you don't have two kids in your house who have the same temperament, same characteristics, nothing. You're just gonna have to love them for being children. So let's not continue to compare players of the past with players of today. It doesn't make any sense.
Good action, Thanks, Kenwyne. Digital bounce. Good action, making sure you showed you some love.
Thank you, Bud.
Yes, Bud. Great questions, everybody. And Roblox Gamer Boy. Which secondary school Kenwyne Jones? I know, but we'll let Kenwyne answer.
Queens Royal College, Roblox Gamer Boy 3.
In case you didn't know, because I know there's a lot of viewers that are Trinidadian fans, Tobago fans, but are not from Trinidad. So you all are buying, you have Kenwyne answer questions. Back to the game now. We're gonna finalize, our thoughts on this. So we spoke about key players and form and so on. We're not gonna get too heavy into which tactics. We'll see what Dwight Yorke comes with and we'll react to it.
We'll see. For sure.
Yeah, because we don't know. So obviously we're gonna talk about the match context of the game. So we know that it's a must-win. We know that it's a must-win. We know that we have to win. We spoke about that in great detail earlier if you're just joining us. This game, the players are heading in knowing that this is a must. As you rightfully said,
added pressure.
Yes, and guys, your generation, even like maybe 2002, or there was a lot of experience there. You highlighted in great detail. We have a lot of we have international players as well, but as players that don't have that experience that you have heading in, what do you think that must be like for them?
Well, it's going to be difficult. We have some players that continue in front of missions. So that hopefully that crowd factor is not. But the actual pressure of knowing that it is a must-win game, or a must-win couple of games for us is something difficult. Like I said before, not have a lot of players that have a lot of the last latter stage World Cup qualification period. Have to bear that in mind. They just have to, denounce the whole World Cup qualification thought process and just go out to try and win the game. I think that it is important that we understand that, this tournament, it is not a match, but what we get and again, it's just about the three. Being able to have people that might click on the day or everything goes for us and get goals and we rain goals down, that would be a dream. But it's important to be able to try and just win the game, putting together a starting team or to go out and have that chemistry, to have that energy, the intensity, the aggressiveness, and the tactical know-how to be able to go out and on that team very early on is important. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. What or whoever the coach is going to pick, we'll see. But every day and just try to spur the team on together.
What we'll do is just to start to wrap things up a little bit because this has been going way better than I expected. Of course, I'll have some new mics next time, folks. Any stores out there that want to sponsor? Sarcastic though. But anyway, so before we we'll do the last of the questions there, but we'll round off to the actual discussion with the game itself. So I mean, Bermuda. Talk about Trinidad in great detail. We watching that they're scoring goals. Curacao, they give Curacao a proper scare. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, not a foregone conclusion in any game. And no disrespect to Bermuda, they are capable of scoring goals. We're playing in their home, and this is a team that wants to be. Because a lot of people wrote them off unfairly, so I don't like to write off anybody, especially. But Bermuda having that thirst to get within that range. Trinidad, obviously not firing in all cylinders.
Well, if you look at the table right now, Bermuda at the bottom.
Well, I mean, yes.
I think they might just be interested in getting their first point or points.
And that can work in our favor.
It can work in our favor, but not so much. To be honest with you, Bermuda has made strides over 5 or 6. Credit to them. They are part of the colony. So players like Naki Wells and United bursting on a young fella through the lower, then finally making it and all. But this is a long time forward now. Yes, they've been doing well. I think that they are at home. They're gonna try to put to whatever regard to try and at the same. We cannot think of Bermuda standing on to go there. No disrespect to Bermuda. As Trinidad and Tobago, we have to go in there knowing what is at stake and go all guns blazing, no pun intended, to try and win the game. It's not about how Bermuda plays. It's not about who they have. It's about us going and trying to win in game. Have the players, I believe that we have the players and the talent to be able to go out and win that game. So we just have to do it. It's about us going and starting quickly. It's about us being aggressive. It's about us, able to go and impress ourselves. That is all we can think of, because I think player for player, we have the better players, and I'm going to stand confident on that. I'm not, again, ranks Trinidad. I'm not going to underestimate Bermuda. Don't get me wrong in what I'm saying. I know they have a few players who played through the lower leagues in the UK, but at the same time, Curtin Charles, not 2008, Bermuda, not beating us in this match. We are going out to win. It is important, again, we have to be able, the coaching staff have to be able to give them the confidence, the fans have to be able to give them the confidence, even though some of us are apprehensive in what we're going to get. But we have to be very positive and give the team that support to go out there and to be firing on all cylinders. Very first whistle.
And it's very good that you said that, because as fans, we have the luxury of sitting couch, coaches.
Oh.
And we, you know, we could say, well, you know, maybe we might win. We'll see how it turns out. But as a player, the coaching staff, you have a job to do. And it's very important to transmit that confidence. Some people might say you're being overly positive, but anybody who has played any sports, you know, from competitive back in primary school, before you go into anything, you have that mindset. You need to, when you can't go into any sort of thing, when right, even if I play FIFA online and I'm playing some random guy, sorry, EAFC football, you have to know beforehand when you play these 5-star players online that you, or at least have the confidence in your abilities that you could take on these, rather than, well, let's see how it goes. And you know, there's a saying in football, Kenwyne, where they used to poke fun of the Italians, so they're not playing to win, they're playing not to lose. And there's a massive difference. Great to hear, being a former player, now a coach, kind of mentality that Yorke will be transmitting to his players. You have to do our duty as the 12th person, because I'm inclusive.
Yeah, well, you know, funny that you say that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what the technical staff is there for. They have to look at this, you know, what they've played before, and try to figure out what might be different, you know, that they would approach the game with. Yes, they are at home. Are they going to sit in and, you know, try to go into the halftime not in down a goal or two or whatever? Are they going to come out guns blazing from the start of the match trying to get a win because they have not had any points regardless of how they played? So how you have to, or the coaches, you know, have to think about that type of approach from Bermuda. But again, I will say, if it has to be an all-out shootout in the street, you know, in Bermuda, when we go to play that match, it's going to have to be that. We have to focus on what we are going to do, how we're going to approach the match, how we need to start, and the win, which is the most important. I do not care. Bermuda could play 10 men behind the ball all the time. We're going to have to find a way, throw them out, and then to score the goals. It is not about what they are going to do, because I do not think that all of a sudden Bermuda is going to turn up and be like Son is saying, I don't know who I'm making sound like 2002 Brazil, but Bermuda is not going to turn up and be 2002 Brazil. They don't have that profile of player. So we are going to go there, and we have to. That is my thought process. I do not know what is being said by the coaches and what is the mood or the mindset. I'm going to probably have to make a call and see, you know, how the guys are feeling. But we have to go out there and let it be all-out shooter. Hopefully, the belief that the players would have or should have would take us above, you know, all the players individually who we're going to play against. But I still think that we have better players than Bermuda has. And I'm going to go down dying with that. I think we have the ability to be able to win the games. We weren't far off really winning the game against Curacao. I think it was just a mindset thing and how we started and pressure and all the other factors against Jamaica. I mean, some people think that Levi's not a number 9, but he had 3 goals. They were all offside, though. But he had 3 goals in the match.
Correct.
It didn't count. We have the ability. It is a matter of driving that belief within the team. Making them feel invincible, making them believe that they can run through brick walls, making them feel that they are the best in the world in order to go out and produce the results that we need.
Thing is, we'll wrap things up here by just, you know, just answering 2 more questions maybe. What do you think? And then, folks, before we go, I want to say thank you for joining the live stream, answering all these questions. Liking, sharing, subscribing completely helps. I'm going to say that because it keeps the channel going. And like I said at the beginning, I'm doing this because of all of you. There's a bunch of questions coming in, and we'll be doing more, folks. We'll be doing more. I'm seeing them flying in while we speak, and we'll be having to watch along for the actual game. So, you know, you all who did not join into the other ones, we'll be doing it here at the EXTV studios to join it. So let's see, wrap up with a couple more questions. What do we have there?
Actually, we only have one.
Oh, okay, one.
And that question is from Jay. I think this is interaction for Jay.
Oh yes, welcome Jay, welcome to the stream.
Welcome. How much do negative comments affect player performance?
Question.
Now I'm gonna say it again, right? players are not robots. There are some people that can tune it, but there are some people validation. There are some people that have to those comments, what is being said about them, what is being said about the team, and that affects them mentally. They are human beings. I'm pretty sure you all are in spaces. Your neighbor says something against you, either going to rile you up, it's either going to sink you mentally, either going to put you in a weird space. And but that is just you. Not all players have the mental strength at the stage of the careers that they at, because we have a lot of young players in this squad who are into the social media area, and they read and see everything and they take that on. So that affects performance. It affects their outset. Don't know. So we have to very much think about what we say. And again, the unfortunate thing for us as players, and I'm saying us as players because as players, our office, is in the public. So, we are criticized, we are, given the comments, we are either lauded or debased in certain instances, and that affects us. But at the same time, there are few players that might be able to tune it out, and the only thing that would probably lift their spirits is about us being, winning the game. And again, it helps, I think, before the match, let us try all to be as positive towards the team and the players, even though some of us are apprehensive for what might happen. And then after the game, you can do what you want. But before the game, let's push that positivity so that it can reach on the team, so that they could go out knowing that the fans of Trinidad and Tobago are behind them and wanting them to do well, and not be too negative beforehand.
Have there some thoughts on Sunderland season so far? If they followed because you followed.
I'm happy, Son. I'm happy for the start that they had so far. It's great to see them back in having a good start. Again, a lot of things can happen down the road for the season. Injury, bad form, all of that type of stuff.
Right.
So we'll see what happens later on. But all for now, I'm
Edge. Kevin Molino will start as a centre midfielder, while Daniel G start as that time.
In this game for where Nathaniel, and for those who have had the opportunity to coach Nathaniel, I think he has the ability, and I watch him over the the games that we've had in this qualification so far, and I think there have been instances where he could have gotten in the game and got the game earlier, because he, for some reason, he has that knack where the balls follow him, especially when there's a bit of confusion in the box. I think the Jamaica match he should have gotten on a little bit earlier, because there were some instances that balls were falling, in the box from whether it be crosses or corners or whatever the case is, and he tends to find, or the ball tends to find him,
right,
where he'd have been able to put it in. It's something that we can look at whether or not to start a game, because Nathaniel James is a number 9. He's not a number 7 or 11, and he's not a number 10. What you call a hybrid, a 9. He's going to play off a traditional center forward where he can be able to run off of and to be able to pick up scraps off. He's perfect in that position. Maybe against Bermuda, they might think about using him differently. When I say using him differently, part of the game, how that will come off, I don't know. But again, I think he should, based on his previous games, the goals that he's gotten, timings that he came on and been able to get them goals, I think he's more of an instance of coming into the game with a little bit more time to try and be a
probably more wrap things up. What do you think?
Yeah. Rods, Kenwyne, forget the coaching for now. Will you be back to provide post-match analysis with Andre?
Oh boy. Andre Sooklal.
For the rest of the Cup qualifier, I will try my best to make it back to do analysis on it, but I have to coach. coaching is the thing that I'm doing at the moment. I
Pay
love
the
to
bill
do it.
with.
And well, I ain't so much paying the bills, but at the same time,
Another discussion.
I love to do it, but I'll try to make myself available for the post match on the teams and that we've seen. And I'm giving it from my perspective, what I think have been better. So from the point of view, what should be or what we should have seen while the players are.
Well, there's a lot of questions coming in, but I think we'll end it off there, Kenwyne. Folks, this has been amazing. This is the first time we did this at your request. Kenwyne was great to come down and visit us at the undisclosed location of the EXTV studios. Never know, people might just want to turn up and ask Kenwyne questions outside the door. For security reasons, let me be unnecessarily mysterious. I'll do that. So it's been amazing, folks. Continue to like, subscribe. We'll be having the match watch along on the actual day. If people have been supporting the channel throughout this entire period, we've been doing these streams, the CPL and whatever, it's been great. Of course, I would like to say a special thank you for Kenwyne for coming down. Check out, humble EXTV studios. Technology is amazing now where we can react. I know you viewers out there are very passionate about the game, and I like that there are different types of opinions and discussions. And it's really important to have people like Kenwyne who has had that experience as a player and a coach to answer certain questions and not just hear it from my perspective as online. You understand what I mean? So folks, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to wrap up. There were so many questions we'd like to have. Be sure to join in the live stream coming up. Check out extvmedia.com. Be sure to follow us and all those things.
But Ashton, undisclosed. You been lying.
I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything at all. I'm not saying anything. Guess in the comment section, whatever. You can let us know what you think. That is actually a good question for the fans to put out there. Where is the studio located? Where? And for the older people, they'll know this game come in San Diego. I know I already lost probably 90% of the younger audience by talking about that game. Maybe Kenwyne as well. I don't know if he knows that game.
Which game is this?
So you see, look, I even lost game. That was a real nerd thing back in the day when computers you had to use discs. Those of you know.
ESTDs?
Yeah. No, that's it.
No, the floppy disk.
Yeah, the little
floppy disk.
Yep. And you have to insert like 4 discs just to play this.
Yeah.
So they have
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, after updating the references. So that being said, folks, we're gonna sign off now. And like I said, once again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Everybody in the stream, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel. Follow us on all the socials on the screen there. And we'll have a lot of content. We'll also do Andre Sooklal. We didn't forget you. You and I will be doing our little video before as well. We like to have our discussions as well. So we'll have lots of content, and we'll be doing our reaction and also lots of other content with and EAFC. A lot of people want to challenge me. I don't know if I'm still good. I didn't play in a while. It was okay, but we'll see.
Yeah, get back the chemistry.
Yes. Have to get back the momentum and so on. I have a little bit of a shoulder thing. My screen popped on behind, folks. I don't I give you all a proper goodbye. I don't know what that is. Hopefully, oops, turn that off, That would have been hilarious, though. But no, thankfully, that's not the case. I don't know what your screenshot behind it, and hopefully. So that being said, folks, it's been an absolute pleasure. I said it a million times. We're going to sign out, and be sure to check us out again for the upcoming watch along. And for those of you, I know I said I was going to announce a winner for the jersey. I will announce that in the next video. I'll actually do that to watch along. I finally managed to track down a jersey because Capelli didn't give me one. And I have an idea who the winner is. We'll do a live draw, and then I can...
That's nepotism.
Well, we have this thing, but what I will do is I will try to find a fair method for all the comment section. But what I did was I did promise them, Kenwyne. I said the people who supported and commented regularly and consistently, you up your chances. That helps.
Oh, so is this why they have the crown here with the number one, number 3?
Yeah, so you all are ranked in these things. So we have rankings as well. So a lot of people here have their rankings. There's a lot of people who follow almost every post I do, and I pay attention, folks. Every single one I go. I may not answer right away, but I go. I look at every single comment and I try to answer. But what's his jersey, folks? So I love it. I love the passion. I love all the different questions. And it's been absolutely a lot of fun, Kenwyne. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like I said, I rushed down here after my, and we spent some time together. So hopefully I can do it some more soon. Have a busy schedule. I'm sorry, but I'll try to be here as well possibly.
So we'll have Kenwyne, and then we'll have a lot of people as well. I know once Jan in Trinidad, he likes to come along, another supporter of EXTV from the very beginning. So a lot of kudos to Kenwyne, Jan, Michael, Williams, Shaka as well. Shaka his not pops on from time to time. You probably saw him at the beginning of the stream. So we'll be doing that. So I said goodbye about 15 times. So this is the official goodbye. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be signing out now. So take care, folks.